Everyone to please turn off your cell phones or place them on vibrate at this time, and also ask that everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I apologize for that. We'll open the meeting with a public presentation portion of our meeting. So if anybody cares to speak to the board this evening, I ask that you please stand, state your name and address.
As usual, Dan Bianco, 6121 Jameson Place. I have a couple of things here. Do we have a point man for the fence inheritance?
Mr. Batil is
because they're pulling up some of the rails.
I contacted the fence company and never heard back from them.
Okay. I'm just telling you that the contractor on site has taken down some of the rails closest to the house, and I just thought you guys would like to know about it in case we have to go over and pick up some stuff in the interim. That's all. The other thing is, I have yet to see any kind of hard copy, email, or on-the-record stuff from my past questions. Although you did give me a rundown, I just thought maybe it'd be nice if we got caught up on that over the next couple of weeks, just to make sure that all the bases are covered. And as far as the ABC board is concerned, you've got... Oh, I know what it was. If, as part of our work process, we invite a representative from each trustee board to come to a meeting once a year, twice a year, how does the 1 o'clock time fit with you? Because there was some conversation about taking that meeting and kicking it to the night. Is it possible or feasible for somebody from this board to show up for a 1 o'clock meeting, or would you rather have it in the evening?
I would think as long as we know far enough in advance,
okay,
it shouldn't be an issue.
So we're usually pretty flexible. We've all been able to make meetings throughout the day.
What I've been thinking about is getting the trustees from all the townships, maybe twice a year, to come to one of the meetings and get, I don't want to say more involved, that you're not being involved, but it might help the whole situation. And the other thing is, have you made any progress on the inclusion stuff, as far as getting on record to get the rest of the township in place?
As far as ABC Water District is concerned, no, we have not. I think that the documentation that was sent to us on October the 12th, right before the day of our last meeting, has been forwarded on to the other trustees, but we have not had a chance to discuss that at this time.
Because what we can't do is implement rules and regulations until all three of the townships are in total accounted for.
Have the other trustees from the other two townships addressed that yet?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. I haven't specifically asked the other two board members, but it seems that they may already be in the works, partly because the two board members are both township administrators.
Right.
So.
And they're charged with that responsibility.
And like I said, right now the only thing that's kind of holding up is concluding our rules and regulations, which I'm hoping isn't going to be too much government babble.
Yeah, I've been going over it, Dan, and I have a call into Lisa from Austintown to see exactly how they're proceeding with it. I don't really understand what territory they want to include. We have to get together. If I could get together with Dan sometime, I could go over it with them.
Well, I can answer that question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when this formation was initiated, they only took certain components of each township as part of the founding documents, instead of taking the whole thing, the whole township at the same time. So now there's a process that has to go, which I've tagged inclusion.
Okay.
That we have to include the balance of the township.
Why didn't they do that in the beginning?
I have the foggiest idea.
Oh, well, that's another...
Pardon?
I can get together with you guys and let you know those deals, but it's not to be made public. mean, it's one of those things that I'll tell you why and show you the documents why it was done that way, but there was a good reason.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, all we're doing now is picking what's left over so that there are 3 entire townships from border to border legally on the books, and then we can kick butt from there.
See, that's another thing. They want you to go to Sands and Decker, so that's going to have them included for the study, for the inclusion property.
No.
According to what I read.
Well, Sands and Decker is the source for the existing drawings if you don't have them already.
Yeah.
I have an extra set.
I gave them to you.
And Gary could speak into that issue whether he is firm as a engineer for this township can do what's required for the inclusion.
Okay.
Because I'm keeping the door open. I'm not forcing any township to have a specific engineer of record.
Well, the way that it was presented to what I have.
Well, that may be,
Okay.
but because
That's
as I
better.
told somebody over the telephone, all 3 of the townships have this guy sitting in the audience.
That's good.
So if there's a consensus that all 3 townships want to use Mosier's office, then we initiate a deal with them to take care of what you need on your ticket. Austintown and Boardman do the same thing, and we've got you are sitting in all 3, aren't you?
Boardman and Canfield,
Not Austintown? Okay. Well, I've left the door open either to go with one or pay your own engineer.
Okay. But the thing is, it's still going to be a fee
Oh, yeah.
to get all that,
Yeah.
In terms of how much is out there, I'm not sure, because I gave him all my maps.
At this stage of the game, to complete this thing, it's appropriate for each township to handle the mechanics and the costs until we get this whole thing incorporated.
Understand.
We can't generate any money with any kind of what we call the ERU fees in order to have operating expenses. And the other goal is that any leftover money that comes in from the ERU goes into a dedicated account for each township to use as they see fit. So that it's not like if Canfield puts in X dollars into this big pot and Boardman gets to the head of the line, Canfield's paying for Boardman stuff. No, your money that comes out of the collected fees will be dedicated to be used by this township only.
Okay.
Okay. And in the future, we'll note that you are on the agenda for ABC Water District, so comments for ABC Water District will include at that time going forward.
Yeah,
okay?
I should have done that, Marie.
That's all right, not a problem.
I just got carried away.
And I know that since Gary's here, and he wanted to speak this evening on their culvert, if you want to do it now, Gary, that's
fine with
perfectly
me.
fine.
It's fine. What I have is a letter of recommendation. It's a copy for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
The bid tabulation's checked out, and we're recommending
And
JCM.
for those in the audience, we did have a bid opening on this past Monday
Yeah, yesterday.
for the Kildare Culvert
Right,
project.
right.
And that's what we're discussing at this point.
And JCM, we're recommending that you hire them. And the second page of that is a notice of award. Now tonight, if you guys pass a motion, if you can sign it. Yeah, it's small print. Sorry, Martha. But if you do pass it, a motion, and sign that, Marie, and send that form back to me, we can put that into contracts.
Okay.
And we'll get things moving as fast as we can. So,
Because this project will be completed before year's end.
we want to get them out there, so we want to move quickly. So the faster I notify him that you awarded it, the faster he'll order the material and get things scheduled and get out there.
Gary, while you're here, I was wondering about that Ohio water report that was supposed to be in by the end of October for the Indian Run thing, the Corps of Engineers.
It was, we have everything submitted. Carmen prepared the fees. We did send it in. Our guys have been talking to them, trying to
You haven't heard?
convince them we need to get things moving, so we're trying.
Okay.
What was the issue with the paperwork for mitigation not being submitted for?
Well, they said that it needed a mitigation plan, but we usually don't send a mitigation plan in until we at least talk with them, and then they converse with us and understand, what we want to do out there, and then we kind of build a plan from that point. Okay, so the Ohio EPA knows what we're going to submit and what they would approve of it. So we're not trying to submit something they don't like, and then it takes more time. We want to try and talk with them initially, and then say, okay, do you approve of that if we send it in? Yes. Okay, then we send it in and we get it taken care of. So that's what we're trying to do. So the money's there, the fees have been paid, the application's there, so we're trying to get it taken care of. That's for the Phase 4 project. Now, tomorrow, I don't know if you guys received a notice about the next OPWC meeting at Eastgate
Right.
tomorrow morning, starting around 9
9
o'clock.
o'clock.
This meeting is when they're going to start scoring everything except the regional significance points. So you kind of get an idea of where you stand.
Is that important for us to attend again, Gary?
It probably doesn't hurt to do that in case they
Okay.
have some questions. I'm going to be there to field it.
Not
If
a
you
problem, I
guys,
can be there.
I usually stay for the whole thing. I mean, you can take off after they go through Canfield
Okay.
Township, because they'll do it alphabetically again. So you might be there, an hour and a half or so. And then,
So it's more to show up around 9, like,
yeah, just show up and,
okay.
shake everybody's hand and say hello and all that stuff. And,
Kind of like we did last time.
kind of like you did the last time. That was perfect. So they appreciate it when somebody from the community shows up. And make it seem like you really want the project.
Well, we do.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Okay.
The last thing I have, citizens on Tyler Drive submitted a petition to you people about trying to get a reduced traffic and that kind of thing. Okay. I did a real brief study. I mean, this isn't even, I can give you some real general type
This is for
things.
the extra road?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So make sure we're on the same page.
What I did, and I have a copy for everyone, we looked at two alternatives between St. Andrew's Court and Star Center Drive as one alternative to connect the road. And what I have is, a little drawing here and this line here that shows the profile along that route. Okay. And, we're showing, here's the end of St. Andrew's Court, and then we want to just connect the road over here to Star Center Drive as an alternative to not have another connection out to 224. Okay. Now, in that, that particular plan there's apartment buildings in the way, there's a lot of hills and that sort of thing, and you can see along the profile that, we were proposed to do a lot of filling, and there would be retaining walls and things like that to build this road. Okay. So what I did, I put together a real quick cost estimate, and I even included the value of these apartment buildings, because you'd have to take them, which adds significantly to this project. And there is just no room to miss the buildings. I mean, just the way everything's been built there, it would be hard to do. So the other alternative, again, is go from St. Andrew's Court St. Andrews Court, I'd run north and then east up to 224. And that would be right next to the office building, right east of the turnpike. There's another set of buildings to the east of that. And this one would have a lot of, again, a lot of elevation change. And this actually would be a higher elevation going up to 224, where the other alternative would be going down a hill to Star Center Drive. So both alternatives is about 900 feet of roadway. And again, you're taking some existing buildings.
For sure.
This one for sure, you'd be taking this building, and then I had these apartments. It's the same. So there's quite a lot of involvement with this whole project. If you really need to pursue this, okay, you're going to have to try and get into a lot of different things. The existing condo development that's up at the top of the hill, there's no way to get to it publicly, with a public type roadway. The roadway in between those buildings are too narrow. You just can't use them. You might be able to do it for the safety forces, maybe for the police or something. Have a way to get in there instead of having to go all the way around. I know the fire department comes from the other direction,
Right.
and they can get there.
But the sheriff's department could indeed easily come from 224.
Right. But that's not going to help the traffic.
No.
Okay, you can't have that public access back and forth. The cost that I came up with is probably somewhere between $1.5 million and $2 million, depending on the alternative. Okay, for the roadway and the fill and all the embankment and the retaining walls and all that stuff. The property, this apartment complex, the county had a fair market value of that of $2 million. And the one alternative with the building that's along 224 there is another $600,000. So there's a lot of expense, just for the property and the building. Plus, I don't know if you would get into any type of relocation costs, if whoever has an office there, or you're going to move everybody out. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to get into which may make this not feasible to even consider further. I mean, just because of the way it was built. So you can look at this and study it. I just scribbled down some dimensions of things and some costs, but it's just going to be maybe not feasible to even try and do money-wise.
Wasn't the only complaint the fire safety?
They were concerned about fire and the safety forces getting there, but fire doesn't come down 224 to enter there. They come from Station 2, not Station 1, and so their response time isn't impacted by 224. And safety services actually can come because of the sheriffs, and it depends on where they're coming from, where they're at that point. They could come off at 224, they could come off at Tippy. We don't know where they're at when they respond.
I think the easiest thing to do is when you right by the turnpike on that big office building that's right there on the left-hand side is where those condos are. Now you might be able to provide some the police to get through and then make their way down.
We may have an access road just for safety forces, but not for through.
I didn't include that at all because I think you can do that regardless. They can have like a gate there and they can have a remote and they can open it up and they can get down it pretty quick. But in the petition, they did address both. They had the safety, the residents on Tyler and at Summit, St. Andrews, easier access for law enforcement, EMS, fire safety equipment, and the need for quick response to emergencies. It also addresses traffic speed on Tyler. So,
which indeed the sheriffs have gone down there and they've
you might be able to handle it that way a lot less expensive than trying to tear buildings down and build embankments and build a road and all that business. So I didn't spend a lot of time, but that's what you're looking at.
We'll work with the group and let them know, but I think
that's why I wanted to,
their concerns can be addressed in another way, but I think perhaps we may want to take a look at having just an access road for safety services.
But just so, if they come back and they want to know what's going on, you can tell them
Absolutely.
we
Well, I'll
looked
call
at it.
Tom, and since
Yeah.
I met with him, and
Pass it on.
I'll give that to him as well, so he understands.
And it's
Just copies or
those are all the same.
Yeah,
just
for all
copies.
the same,
One's a
yes.
color, one's you can kind of see the lines and the whole bit. So my recommendation is it's just not worth the money. I mean, if there were a lot of accidents, or, bodies lying all over Tyler Drive, stuff like that, then you really got to look into it, But I would recommend, not even trying to pursue a road. Maybe just the safety access would be a little bit easier for you. That.
Thank you.
So that's it. That's what I wanted to.
Appreciate it, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
And then, Gary, on the contract then, you just need,
I need the notice of award form.
right, you need a signature though.
The signature on that, and then just mail it back to me, and we'll get it going.
Do you need all three, or just
Yeah.
just?
No, just the chairman's fine.
Okay, thank you.
This is the original.
Okay.
Yeah, that just.
Let me pass that down so you can all take a look, or do you guys have copies?
Yeah, we all have copies.
That's the big thing, to get the contractor happy and comfortable that you awarded the job to him, and then he can get everything ordered.
Okay,
We can get things going.
good enough.
So that's it. If you have any questions for me,
No, I think
that's
that's,
it. And I'll see you tomorrow morning, probably.
yes,
right?
you will.
Madam Chairman, can I speak? It's your call. Yes or no? I just have some food for thought, that's all.
Go ahead if you have a quick
First, I
comment.
went up to the emergency exit by the office building, and getting up there is a real nightmare. So unless you know how to get up there, you're not going to get in and out of there real easy. The second thing I wanted to ask is, what would happen if we took that whole Indian Run and put a structural culvert in order to have cars go that way instead of through the apartments? You know what I'm saying? At the crossing of Indian Run Creek at St. Andrews, if we could culvert that so you could drive over it,
Well, to go over to...
to get over to our center. It's just a thought, Gary.
I mean, it's a lot less, elevation change. Yeah, just get right down Indian Run Drive then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The last...
I hate to start messing with Mother Nature and creeks and things like that. I mean,
Just a thought.
I mean, we're trying to alleviate the flooding.
Well,
The flooding, we have to
yeah.
put something huge in there. I mean, you might spend as much money putting a pipe in that thing than
Yeah,
building a road.
I think since we're in the fourth phase of a 5-phase program to alleviate flooding issues, I think we don't want
We want to stick with that.
Yeah, I don't think we really want to mess with
And
that.
an open channel is always a good thing to have.
Yes.
I mean, that's...
I agree.
One last comment. I had occasion to interface with one of the sheriff's deputies, and I asked him how his speed trap was going on Fairway and Tyler in a joking fashion. And he says, you want to know the truth? The speeders are mainly people who live on Fairway and Tyler as opposed to tourists.
That happens everywhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, they have conveyed that to us as well.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on then.
All right, that's it.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Gary. We will get the contract back to you.
Okay, that's fine. See you. All right.
I will ask the fiscal officer to please call the roll.
Mrs. Arlene Booth?
Present.
Oh. No, well, we had moved out of that a while ago, but
Oh, okay.
do you have a comment that can't wait for your report?
It's something different than the recycling report.
Okay, please stand then.
Okay. Lynn Wood, resident of 7566 Herbert Road, and I wanted to report that on Friday, our gas service was interrupted due to activity by the contractor digging the water line for the township park, and it was interrupted again today. So, just some information for you to have.
Who's digging a water line?
Well, they're connecting the water line
For the easement, the water easement line.
from the church to
To the
the
park.
concession building. Yeah, and as they're digging, they're interrupting gas service. And that, from what we're informed of, It affects about 12 residents in the area. So just a little information so you know.
How long was it down?
Friday, when it went down Friday, it was sometime Friday afternoon, and then the gas company, and I don't know the name of the gas company because it's changed ownership many times. They came out on Saturday, so I'm sure they're working overtime. They came out on Saturday to make repairs, and I don't know how long it's going to be down.
Did they hit the line?
Yes, they hit the line both days.
Those are so well marked.
They're saying they're not,
No, they're marked.
but
You know what,
Just so you know.
that is a concern, and thank you, Lynn, for bringing that to our attention. I think we probably need to have that conversation and understand why they're hitting the lines out there, because if they're not properly marked, then we need to
Well,
understand
the
that.
gas company flagged the lines prior to all of this.
And I was going to say, if they called Ohio Utilities Protection,
Well, that's a private gas line, so it's marked by the private.
okay, and B&B still hitting it. I think we need to have that conversation.
So the gas is still out right now? Or?
yes, it is out right now. We're on real good terms with the well tender in that area, and she called me this afternoon just to let me know, hey, your gas is out. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. Didn't know I wasn't home at the time, but we appreciate that she's notifying us and letting us know. She says, I have no idea how long it will be down. We'll be out tomorrow trying to work on it, trying to get back together.
So you have no hot water? Is that?
Well, we do because we have an electric hot water tank. So when it goes out, we switch over. Well, we knew that when we bought the property.
Well, what gas do you have, Lynn?
We come off the well that's directly north of us.
You don't have Dominion or...
No.
No, it's a private.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So in that area, they're hitting lines that affect the private lines, I guess.
Sure they are.
Tom Keller's office knows exactly where those lines are running. They were all mapped out. There's really no reason for this.
Well, that gas is on the church property. That gas tank, the line runs from the church property to the township property.
Depends on where he's hitting.
Yeah, there is one well there.
I'm assuming it's close to the park property because they were digging the other day. They were already almost off.
Well, I wasn't informed that they were going to dig this week. When did we settle that?
That was settled
don't
when the
remember.
easement came back.
At the last meeting, when the easement, we said that they were going to proceed with it. So I didn't know they were digging it. I didn't know the exact date, but we did discuss at the last meeting that the easement paperwork had been signed and that they were going to start the line. We just didn't have an exact date, Martha.
Well, I know, but I'd like to be informed.
Well, I don't think B&B, and I don't think anybody informed us specifically.
Well, somebody should. And I promised those people up there that we'd be there, somebody would be there. How could somebody be there to watch over what's going on when I didn't know about it?
Or watch over what?
What? The digging.
That's Tom Keller's office responsibility.
That's our contractor.
After all the problems with that park, I'm going to defend. I think that we should have one of the road department people up there checking it out while they're doing it. I told the director, the administrator at the church, that we always have somebody, just like we have somebody when they're paving the road. You always have one of the road department check all the things that are going on. That's been a standard practice in the township. I've read it in the books back 10 years. When they're paving, one of the road people's there checking all the time. When anybody's doing anything on a road in the township, one of the road people is checking. Now, I told the man, the administrator, that I would have somebody down there. Now I feel awful that the gas line is gone, messed up. We should send one of our people out there to oversee it.
Well, we're already paying Tom Keller's office to supervise the project.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been doing a good job, Tony.
Well, I understand that, and we also are paying B&B for a supervisor. So we've got two supervisors on the job. And I don't know if having one of our guys there is going to prevent a backhoe from getting a gas
No,
line.
but they could go check it to make sure. How, do you know if that guy was there from Tom Keller's office? I don't know. Do you know?
No, I don't.
Okay,
No.
I don't either.
Lynn, thank you for the information,
Sorry
and we
for
will
that,
follow
yes.
up.
Well, that's okay. I'll get a hold of Dan tomorrow and see what's going on.
Fortunately, we're not in freezing temperatures, so it's...
Yeah, but someone could still have a gas hot water tank, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
that's true.
Right.
That could be an issue.
And that's
for the other
affecting
residents.
the residents across the street and down, or we're not sure.
We were told it affects 12 residents, and I don't know exactly which 12. I could probably name 4 or 5. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know who. And I don't know if it affects the church. I don't know if it's affecting them at all or not.
Please God.
Okay, thank you. We will close the public presentation portion now, and I'll ask the fiscal officer to please call the roll.
Mrs. Arlinga,
Yes.
Mr. Patil,
Present.
Ms. Cartwright.
Present. I ask if there are any corrections or additions to the October 12th regular minutes.
No.
Hearing none, I'll move to accept the minutes as presented with the corrections that were previously supplied. And we'll move on to the road report. Are there any questions or comments regarding the road report? The one item is, and you know what, I will have to change my meeting for tomorrow morning with Mr. Cook at 8:30, since I will be going to EDATA. But the tree trimming, we need to put that on the list for the road department now that we're getting their new roof put on. I know that there was conversation to have them get some bids, but I did not follow up on that. So,
I asked
Bobby?
Bobby last week about that, and he didn't have time to get with that, so do you want to mention it to Gary?
Yeah, we need to carry that on their list, because putting the new roof on, if we keep those tree limbs over it, the repairs we do to the roof are going to continue.
More than likely, they're going to need permission from the other adjoining property then.
Okay. I will send an email to that effect, asking them to take care of that. Any further comments on the road report? Then I'll move to accept it as presented, and we'll move on to the zoning report. Are there any comments or questions regarding the zoning report?
It's interesting that we had 22 out of 69 in the county for housing starts, and Dave expects 4 or 5 more before the end of the year. So, moving up.
Yes, we are. If there are no objections, I will move to accept the zoning report as presented. And we'll move on to the recycling report. Linwood?
Okay. As you know, we have the electronics drive coming up on Saturday from 9 to 1, and I met with the vendor, Jeff Medor, this morning. We walked the fairgrounds and we went through the area where we will be set up. We'll set up in the government building. People will be able to drive in. Different stations where the workers will be sorting the items that are brought in, and then they'll drive right out the building and then follow the directions to exit the fairgrounds. So it's all set up. We're set with Bev as far as where he needs to park his trailers. I was given a key for the building, so I'll be there to open it up at 8 a.m. The only thing we need to do is sign contracts. I'll deliver them, and I can take refreshments. And if there's anything else that I need to know about.
Did you get anything on the restroom?
The workers are allowed to use the restroom at the maintenance building there. So the government building, you have the grandstands and that big open concourse area, and then their maintenance building is just to the north, and we're allowed to use their facilities there.
Is this going to be located out where it was last time?
No, we're going to
By
be
the government.
just a little north of where we were located last time. So people will enter through the main gate, which is gate 3. They're not going to have any of the other gates open, so we'll have signs up. I'll borrow signs from the green team, and I'll place one out by the road, and then along the interior, I'll place another sign. And the fairgrounds also has 2 police officers that they're donating for that day, for that event, to help with directing traffic. There's one representative from the green team going to come, and I was informed that there's about 10 to 12 day reporters coming from the sheriff's department.
So we will have to make arrangements for lunch. So I will ask the CC how we need to handle that, so that we can order pizza for them that day. There is water that can be taken,
All
that we
right,
already have here.
I'll take that.
And there's plates, napkins, and sanitizer that can be used that day as well.
Okay.
So the only thing we really need to do is have you order pizza that day and then pay for the pizza.
All right.
So if we can, the two of you can work out that payment schedule, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good. Any other questions?
Just one question. I know that they're going to be accepting monies that day. When you turn in a TV, you have to pay depending on the size of the screen. The recycler handles all the money?
He does. He will have a cashier
Okay,
handling
great.
that. I talked to him about that today. He has 6 to 8 employees that he is bringing with him,
Okay.
and they're going to orchestrate the whole event, give directions to the day reporters, me, the green team representative. So we are there to assist him. And he just completed Berlin's electronics drive just this past weekend. So he did that one, he's done Boardman, and he did Youngstown, the Favela
Great.
Center, all this year. And Jim Tuch has very good comments about what he's done for each of those communities. He's highly recommended. And Jim has no problem with what he's seen Recycle Tech do. So he would recommend somebody if he didn't like them. So he says they're very good and they handle things very smoothly. It goes very well.
Okay.
On the reverse side, I do have a budget outline for next year. This is something I'd like to either go over with Carmen or
You know what, when we have our budget meeting,
Okay.
and we do have workshops for a budget, we've held our first one, we'll be holding another one. How about if we schedule a time for you
Great.
to meet with us? And then all the trustees and Carmen will be available so that we can address any questions at that time. It is open to the public, so anybody else can come and ask questions as well.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? These are facts. Do we know for sure we're taking a 2% cut?
Yes, we know that for sure.
Okay.
I was informed of that this
What I'll do
week.
is drop these into the budget, and then that's one less thing we have to worry about during the budget process.
Okay.
And Lynn, I'm going to just go ahead and sign this contract and give it right back to you.
Very good.
No, it does not. At this point in time, we are out of time. And we've done other ones with the fairgrounds. This is pretty standard for us.
We did the appliance drive in
Right.
June.
And
We need to
they,
make sure
that
there's
was
a
not
copy
a
for
problem.
the office.
I will make a copy then.
And why don't you get this down, please?
And then there's a second part for the vendor too. There's a contract for him. There's 2 pages, one for us to keep and one for him. They're both the same.
Okay. And again, I'm sure that they have seen this. And then, do you know, there really isn't a line here for me to sign. Does it matter where the signature should go?
I don't believe it does.
How about if I sign next to his
That sounds fine.
at the bottom? And then Carmen keeps one of these. Is that what you're suggesting for us, Lynn? And you get
Yes.
the other one?
Yes, and I will deliver the fair contract tomorrow. I talked with Bev today about that, and I said I will hand deliver this. And then I spoke with Jeff about his contract. I asked if he would make it ahead of time, or if he would just want to have it on Saturday, and he's fine with me just handing it to him on Saturday.
Great. Very good. Thank you.
Does anybody report that?
Appreciate it. And we will indeed coordinate our next meeting with you for the budget so that we can indeed work on that. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And since we already heard from Mr. Bianco on the ABC Water District, we're going to move on to the fiscal officer's report.
Okay, does anyone have any questions pertaining to my report? Because everyone's received it. Instead of me running through it like I've done in the past, if anyone has any questions, I'll answer specific questions. Because we're going to be reading exactly what I'm going to be reading, so to save some time. That's okay, that's the office copy, but that's okay. You have one in your file.
Couldn't find it. I'm sorry. It wasn't in my mailbox. I'll tell you what, I will indeed, if I have questions,
I'm talking about the...
about that? No
This.
problem with that.
Okay. Because this is what I generally
Okay.
read from it, and then you guys go ahead and read it also, so...
Not a problem. Then do you want to move on to the correspondence? Do you have any correspondence for us?
No, because I have not,
Okay.
when I've been in the office, I've not seen anything.
Then we'll move on to unfinished business. The first item will be the Cardinal comments. We did indeed meet last evening, the Cardinal Joint Fire District. The one thing that I do want to make the board aware of is Scott Mikulsik was the township resident representative, and unfortunately, due to Scott's work schedule, he has had to resign that position. So we will be indeed asking for resumes for a new representative to that board. Again, the only qualification is that the individual needs to be a member a resident of the Canfield Township. So I will indeed be sending a brief notice to the neighbors publication and the town crier, letting them know that we are indeed interested in receiving anybody's resume that may be interested in sitting on that particular board.
I never saw Scott's resume. I don't think he has one.
Yes, he did indeed supply us with one.
I never saw it.
He did, the night that we voted on him, we did have it, Martha.
I never got it. I wasn't even told of it, just came up that night.
Well, what we'll do is we'll make sure that whichever resumes we do get, all the trustees will receive copies of them.
I would like to be involved in it. I asked you 15 times and you kept telling me Sue Porter was going to take it, Sue Porter was going to take it. Then all of a sudden one night you get this guy who's only been in the area 2 years. You should have somebody that's been in the township for a while at least, that knows a little bit about what's going on in the area. Just my own personal opinion.
Well, I think it'll be important to see who indeed does apply for the position, and each of us should have the opportunity to review those, and we'll vote on them at an upcoming meeting. But I would like to have that position filled.
If they do not put something in the paper as a news item, would you like that we will add the run?
No, I think that we'll be able to get it through just a press release. I think that they'll take care of it that way for us. But if indeed it becomes a problem, like I said, within the next, and we can put a deadline on it too. What I'd like to do is if we can get it in probably, it won't be able to run this weekend for sure because we're past their deadline. So it would probably be the first weekend in November that they'll run it. So I'll get it to him and hopefully he'll run it next week.
The Vindicator will do it soon.
Well, right, we can do the Vindicator, but the neighbors, since it's specific to Canfield Township and also for the town crier, I think that's important to get in those two publications. So that is an update on that one. And Mr. Patil, can we move on to the Parkland update?
Well, as you know, the water line has started, An email went out on the 20th of this month with the water line installation schedule. It's all the board, including Carmen. And that schedule basically reads mobilization on 10/21, material delivery 10/21, excavation and tie-in 10/22, 8-inch line parallel to Herbert 10/25. And I think it's a typo to 12/28. Not quite sure why it's 12. Looks like pressure test is scheduled for 11/8. And that's all I have.
Okay, what I have here is certificate for payment. And according to this, all the work is complete. You're telling me it's not. Is that correct?
The water line's not complete.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I haven't been out there in the last day, which I don't think it could be.
They're just west of the creek.
Yeah.
They haven't made it to the driveway yet.
Well, this is generally supplied to me when the work is completed. It's signed, it's got the payments scheduled, the supplies, everything's here, ready for payment, except the work's not done yet. And this is generally turned in at the time. And we also, it would have come from B&B.
And is that the one that also has the 7,000 in question?
And you know what? The architect hasn't signed up on this. Now that I look at this,
Okay, so that needs to be held then. That cannot be
it's
processed.
definitely going to be held. I'm not going to process it unless
Very good.
the work is complete.
Okay, then moving along to updates. Summit Drive, which we were under the impression was supposed to have been started several weeks ago, still has not begun. I did speak with David Benedetto from the Mahoning County Sanitary Engineer's Office yesterday, and he informed me that construction will begin next week. The deadline for completion of that project is scheduled for November the 29th. And he also said that the residents that are involved in that project have been spoken with, so that they are aware of it. So that's the latest on that one. Tippecanoe Woods, the work has begun in Tippecanoe Woods. They are going, our gentlemen will be out there on Wednesday. They will do the roll on the road
Test.
the road test. That will be done tomorrow, so we will have some of our gentlemen out there when that does indeed occur. And moving on to... Yes. And moving on to the list from the prosecutors, obviously we did get the contract return from Strolos, so we do need to go ahead this evening and process that as well. We do need to get signatures on that before everybody leaves.
That's the bid package.
No, this is the contract to proceed with the 2 basins for Meserly and for the sheriffs.
The drains.
Right. So we just need to sign those, and then those need to be returned to Strollo, and they'll take care of that. That job will continue then. The outstanding item still with the prosecutor's office is the reissuance of those retirement checks for Gary Cook. Also, the sale of the salt to the Canfield schools, the subleasing of the soccer fields, the issue with B&B with the $7,000 issue, the SRO agreement, that I was told is in the mail, and we should have received it even today. I didn't see it in our mail, but that should indeed be here within the next day or two. If we don't see it, please let us know, because they have mailed it back to us.
Does everyone have copies of that agreement?
This will be the new agreement with all the changes that were made, so we do need to get copies to everybody, and we'll need to sign off on that. And the other item they are working on is the leaf collection issue. So, those are the outstanding issues at this time that are all in the hands of different prosecutors. And now, after Mr. Diorio's presentation, we should address the Kildare Drive culvert replacement project. So I would move on the advice of our engineering firm, MS Consultants, to award the bid for the Kildare Drive culvert replacement project to JCM Contracting, and that would be in the amount of $74,505.
Second.
Say that again, $74,000.
$505. Yes, and I'll send this resolution to you as well. How's that?
Perfect.
Is there any discussion?
Should I contact the prosecutor since we've sent the last contracts to them? Or
No, I believe since this is being handled through MS.
We did send a contract here about 6 months ago to the prosecutor. There were some changes, and MS implemented those changes.
Right.
So I think we're going to be fine, but we can go ahead and submit it.
They did, and they're aware of that, and that was one of the things when they said that they're doing it, that usually they're aware of all the issues that need to be addressed
Wasn't
on
it
our
just the
behalf.
issue about the people that were the subcontractors, and it wasn't that an issue or something, and they fixed it? They put it in with the bid stuff. Wasn't that what?
That was the bid package.
Yeah. That's
Yes,
what-
that was the bid package, but the actual contract itself, I think they feel,
Morello answered that
because of
before.
the fact that they usually do it immediately. If the board feels we want to send it before we sign off on it, we can do
Well,
that.
now we know
Sure.
what we have to have now, so to make sure that that's what they said, isn't it? That they corrected it and it's okay to go.
Yeah, each contract is a little different, though. There is a point to that.
They will answer us right away on this.
Nick is very good about doing that. How about, why don't we just move to accept this, and then we'll sign off on it upon comment from the prosecutor's office. That way there won't be any delay. As soon as they tell us it's okay, then we can go ahead and sign off on it. But we can't sign it before.
Okay, but this notice of award, I'd love to see you sign it. So
That I will.
Okay.
Notice of award I will sign.
Okay, so Marie,
So-
you're the one that accepted first, and you second.
Martha.
Okay.
And if there's no further discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Mrs. Arlinga?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. And then we'll move on to new business, unless anybody has any unfinished business. Okay, the first item will be approval of warrants, purchase order, blanket certificates, electronic payments.
I'll move to approve the general fund supplemental appropriations from account 1000-820-820-0000, principal payment to 1000-830-830-0000, interest payment for a total of $13,969.08.
Second.
And this will set the accounts up for proper accountability for payment, is that correct?
The loan payment, yes.
And the loan payment for,
It's the parkland loan payment.
this is the parkland. Okay. Is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Arlinga?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. I'll move to approve purchase order 33-2010 through purchase order number 38-2010 for a grand total of $138,072.81.
It was purchase order 33 I have.
Number 33, what did you say?
Did I say
38?
33? No, 33 through 38. It's 33
Oh, okay,
dash
okay.
20,
I
okay?
thought you were saying 38.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is actually, but it's for the entire grouping.
I'll second that. I second it.
And this will cover the EPA permit, the drain project, our salt purchase, and payment to Farmers National Bank. And speaking of salt purchases, just as an FYI, the engineers department cannot and does not have the authority to ever take any salt from us. I did have a conversation with them.
Yeah, okay.
And so they did say that it is in our best interest to get our salt dome filled at the beginning of the season. That's what they do. Theirs is already filled. And then that way, they only have to reorder it as they need it, and it would be on a regular basis like we were forced to do several times throughout the season. So they did advise that what we are doing is the correct, and they have never, ever taken anything from any of the townships, so we are in good shape just to fill our dome to the fullest.
And if I could bring up one thing, you cannot purchase or have service done until a purchase order is in place. And we ended up with salt being delivered prior to the purchase order being in place. So we need to make sure that the road department continues their process of calling me to make sure that purchase order is in place.
Okay.
When they call to order salt, they have to have a purchase order number, and I don't know how they bypass that. So we need to make sure that the road department continues to call me to make sure, so that's going to be an issue. Because he probably thought if somebody told him that we okayed with a resolution, but the purchase order has to be in place. And until this meeting, we didn't have a purchase
Can't
order.
that be clarified with the vendor that they're absolutely not allowed to?
The vendor is supposed to ask.
Okay.
But we did change vendors. Morton would have never allowed that. So Cargill evidently has their own policies. But our road department has always known that they have to call me for that purchase order number. So something went wrong this last time. And this is an audit issue, and I have to make sure that it just doesn't happen, in the future, especially with the purchase amount that we're talking, because they've delivered almost $14,000 worth of salt, and the purchase order is now being approved at this meeting.
Okay, I have made a note, and I will also send that to Gary and Bobby, just to reiterate that.
Well, I know that Bobby was in charge. Gary always has known to call me for that purchase order number. So, but again, for several years now, we've only had Morton, and Morton will not take an order without a PO.
Okay. Point well taken. We'll make sure that that is a procedural issue that's followed.
Thank you.
Okay, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Erlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Batil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. And we'll move on to blanket certificates.
I'll move to approve BC-41-2010 through 43-2010 for a grand total of $5,640 to cover general operations of the township.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Erlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Batil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. We'll move on to warrants. And I'll move to approve warrant number 10529 through number 10556 as general obligations of the township in the amount of $36,899.62.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Erlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Batil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. Next are electronic payments.
I'll move to approve electronic payment E00426 and including vouchers W00085 through W0086 for a total of $7,187.74 as general payroll obligations of the township.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Erlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Batil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. And we'll move on to charges. And I'll move to approve charges 81-2010 through 86-2010 for a total of $86,267.81 as general payroll and health care obligations of the township.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Erlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Batil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes. And next, we'll move on to correspondence. There is an item from the green team that we do need to address, and this was apparently received in our mail. This was on the website, so I'm assuming this just came in.
It would have happened.
And this is, dear trustees, 2011 Community Recycling Assistance Grants. In my August 20th, 2010 letter, I indicated that due to the significant decline in landfill disposal fee revenue the district has experienced for the past several years, the Policy Committee recommended cuts in various areas of the 2011 budget. Since 2008, the landfill disposal fee revenue that the district collects has declined due to the increase in recycling and competition from other Ohio landfills. When I was appointed director in 2005, the district had a recycling rate of about 10%, and that rose to 25% by 2007, with 2009 rates at 24.12%. With less trash being generated due to increased recycling, the district's Tier 1 fees have declined. As you are aware, under state law, we generate the vast majority of our revenue through fees collected on solid waste disposal in landfills. The 3-tier fees, which are levied on out-of-state trash, have also declined due to landfill competition with neighboring counties and East Coast states implementing aggressive recycling programs. District disposal fee revenues have declined from $3,581,215 in 2003 to just $2,589,228 last year, about $1 million less. Although the Board of Commissioners will make the final decision on funding your community's 2011 annual recycling assistant grant amount will be $8,820. The Policy Committee cuts other areas of the 2011 budget much more severely than the annual Community Recycling Assistance Fund. And it goes on, but I think that's the most important thing for us to understand. And they've done everything they can, and the other programs will remain in place.
Right.
So I thought that was important that, and this is from Jim Patouche, of course, who is the director for the Green Team. So we do have that in the record. Do any of the other trustees have comments? But we do, before I do that, we do want to remind everybody Trick or Treat is Sunday from 6 to 8. And the other thing, if I may, ask the trustees to consider is that the lighting of the green is going to be taking place this year, and it's going to be the Saturday following Thanksgiving. I'll look real quick at that date. But one of the things that has happened in the past is that they've tried to do donuts for the children and hot chocolate out on the green. And it's very difficult for these little ones to juggle. I was hoping that perhaps as a community event that we could open up our meeting room and set up some tables. We can put our chairs away. We don't necessarily have to do that. But it would be nice if we had a nice area set up for the donuts, for the hot chocolate, for the cider, whatever they have for people, so that they can come in and then they can still go out. We're working with the city so that perhaps the carriage rides and things that take place, instead of having on the main drag, we may be able to use our driveway, the church parking lot, so that we don't impact traffic as much. But this area in front of our hall would be closed off so that for the lighting purposes and for people and traffic moving back and forth, we would be able to address that. So
Did they close it before?
usually it's the opposite side. It's the farmer side. But because it would be easier if we had some warmth and were able to set things up, I think it would be a nice community event if we were able to open our doors for that purpose.
Why didn't they do it before?
You know, it used to be done, Martha, you'll remember years ago when they did this back in the 60s and 70s.
No, that was before.
Everybody in the village used to turn lights. All the businesses opened up, and now that there aren't as many. But the Mahoning Dispatch is talking about opening their doors that night as well.
Oh, okay.
So I think it would be a nice community event if we went ahead and did that.
So did you
So you
inform
said
them?
what day after Thanksgiving?
I believe it's the Saturday,
27th.
7th. Yeah, Saturday after. It would be November the
6 p.m.
27th.
on the 27th.
Yes, 6 o'clock it starts. But they have the petting zoo is usually right outside our door on the opposite side of the road there, where they have all the animals for the little kids to pet. And we would hope that that would be an agreeable thing. And the city always works with the groups on that. It has traditionally been run by the Junior Women's League and Canfield Rotary, and I think it's being passed off to Rotary in total now, but being worked on with the city as well.
No, whatever, it's fine.
Okay, thank you. I will pass that on, and I'll also God bless you, and I'll let the city manager know that as well.
Who would be working? Do we need to have someone here working the hall?
Well, we could all come.
Yeah, I think that...
I mean, someone as far as maintenance, maybe.
I don't think it's after. I think
Have the
after...
restroom open?
You know what? I think we could do that. I don't have a problem with being in the hall that evening. I mean, I think that's easy. And I think, yes, we should open our restroom facility, especially for the little kids. I think it'll be a little easier for them. Because it was awfully cold last year, guys. Do any of the other trustees have comments?
Do you want to set up a workshop for the budget?
Good suggestion. Do the trustees want to check their calendars again? And I will remind everybody, we do have a workshop at 2 o'clock tomorrow for our policy manual, and that is open to the public, but we do need... That is tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the hall. But as it relates to a budget workshop, we're looking at next week, I'm assuming?
Whatever the wishes are. You got to stay away from
Well,
election
you got to
day.
stay away from Election Day, and
Right.
I'm not good on the 4th.
The 3rd,
Oh,
Wednesday.
election day shows up here on the 3rd, on the 2nd.
Well, it is
It is the 2nd.
the second Tuesday, it's always the first
well,
Tuesday.
then-
Okay, she said the 4th.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it's not that.
The 3rd's fine with me.
I could probably do it in the afternoon of the 3rd, anytime probably at noontime.
So call it about 1 o'clock.
12, 1 o'clock, whatever you
One
guys...
works.
1 work for you, Martha?
Yeah.
Okay, let's place that for 1 o'clock on November the 3rd, and I will ask you to make sure that that gets in the paper. Thank you.
And we'll get back with you, Lynn, when we...
For a time for you to
for
come
time.
in. And Mr. Patil.
I would like to move to go into executive session to enter
Purpose.
for the purpose of discussing the possible purchase of property for public use.
I'll second that. So,
Would you please call the roll? Mrs. Arlanger?
Yes.
Mr. Patil?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
yes. And just so you know, we will be adjourning to go into executive session. We will come back probably and reopen the meeting, but we may not be conducting any business at that time, just so you know.
We're going to do
And we thank you.
executive session at 8.
And we are entering executive session at 8:10.